And how did you understand at the outset that it was going to be funded?
By a construction loan with Columbia River Bank.
Did you understand that there was, did you learn at any point that there was going to be funding provided by Inland Capital?
Yeah, I believe we had to borrow funds from Inland Capital for the construction in the interim.
Sort of a bridge loan of some sort? And can you just describe, in terms of how decisions will be made when you were dealing with this Klondike Point investment? Did you have regular meetings? Did you email?
Mostly email.
Did you ever have regular meetings?
We had one meeting when, at the beginning, mostly led by Stephen Ford, about what we were going to do. And then we had a couple other meetings. It was about the construction, because the cost we were getting from who Stephen Ford was working with was like $500,000. And I just said, that's too much to spend on an old building. And then so I had him a meeting and I gave them what I think it should cost, which was about half. And they decided to hire me instead of Stephen to do the construction management.
And then at some point you said you needed, I'll just call it a bridge loan, from Inland Capital. How did that come about?
I don't know exactly. I think probably I said we need money. They said temporarily borrow it from Inland. But I don't, and then I think they might have forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, I remember, I think we're on the right entity, that they said, oh, you guys owe us this plus interest, you need to pay it off. So I believe we all made a capital contribution and paid it off.
Okay. Well, let me just kind of step back a little bit, because I want to sort of distinguish between what might have happened or what probably happened and what you remember. Because one of the things that we don't want you to do is to speculate. If you don't remember something, that's fine.
I don't remember
how. Hold
how.
on. Sorry. Let me just, I don't want to talk over each other. So let me ask the question a little bit more specifically. Do you recall any discussions or communications among the Klondike Point group, just refer to it, about the need for a bridge loan?
I don't specifically remember.
And do you recall discussions about the fact that money was going to be provided by Inland Capital?
I don't recall.
What did you understand Inland Capital was?
A loaning company.
Did you understand that it had any affiliation whatsoever with your father?
Yes, I knew he owned Inland.
Who else did you understand owned Inland?
I knew Brian and Mark owned Inland until Lane and Tim bought in.
And how did you learn that Lane and Tim bought in?
Because I did the tax returns for Lane Tim in the year they purchased their interest.
Did you have any information about the source of funds for Inland Capital?
No.
Did you at any time ever had any conversations with anyone about the source of funds for Inland Capital prior to December of 2008?
No.
Did you have any question about it in your mind?
I didn't think about it. No, I didn't think about it.
Are you asking her to speculate? Because you just said that you didn't want her to speculate.
I asked her if she had any question about it.
Did I have any question about it?
Yeah, let me re-ask the question. I asked you, did you ever in your mind have any question about the source of the funding for Inland Capital?
No.
Did you ever reach any conclusion that the source of the funds for Inland Capital had come from the Summit Accommodators exchange funds?
No.
What did you think the money came from?
I didn't think about it because it wasn't my business.
Would it be fair to say that in the course of your work performing either bookkeeping or tax returns for the various entities that we've been talking about, VSM Properties and so forth, that you became aware that there were substantial loans being made by Inland Capital to these entities?
You know, I just don't. I'm paying attention to tax return. They tell me they have a loan. I book the loan. I don't think about whatever else goes behind the scenes. I don't need to know that to prepare a tax return.
And I understand that. I mean, but my question is, wouldn't it be fair to say that you became aware that there were substantial loans being made by Inland Capital to these entities?
No.
As an accountant and in the course of doing tax returns involving 1031 exchanges, did you become generally familiar with the whole 1031 exchange process?
Yes.
So you understand the timelines
Yes.
and the deadlines for performing certain acts, correct?
Correct.
Would you agree with me that it would be very important to keep funds liquid for those exchanges?
You know, I don't own a 1031 business, so I'm not sure. I can't guess what someone else has to do in a 1031 business. I only have an accounting firm.
Well, I'm not asking you to guess about what other people do. I'm asking you, you're an accountant, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you are familiar with the 1031 exchange business, generally.
Yes.
And would you agree with me that it would be important to keep funds liquid in order to fund exchanges?
Yes.
Do you believe that it would be acceptable to use exchange proceeds for personal investments?
I don't think so.
Did you ever have any suspicion whatsoever that that was going on at Summit Accommodators?
No.
When did you become aware in any way of Inland Capital?
Become aware of it in what way?
Just heard the name Inland Capital. How did that come about?
I think they had Inland Capital forever. I mean, that was just one of their businesses.
And so in the context of working with your dad as a staff accountant for several years and then doing tax returns after that, you were familiar with Inland Capital, right?
Thought it was a lending company.
Now, at some point in early 2007 or late 2006, would it be fair to say that you became aware that your dad and the other principals at Summit Accommodators were now concerned about calling the loans for Inland Capital? And let me ask it differently. Would it be fair to say that they were expressing to you that they needed to have the Inland Capital loans paid back?
Yes.
And why did they tell you they needed that done?
They didn't.
Did you ever ask any questions about that?